also getting over this like demon bug that everybody's had, so bear with me.
It is a demon, isn't it?
It's like worse than many things I've ever experienced. So when Sandy asked me to come and speak today, as some of you were here last time for my talk, which was a lot about success and accepting your greatness, and I had those fun little pins at the end. This time she asked me to speak, and I was like, yeah, sure, of course. And then like 3 days later, it was like, what did you want me to talk about? Like, I can speak, but so we kind of started talking about things that you've covered already in these meetings, speakers that you've had, things you've been working on, and where we can kind of put those together and talk about something that's different, but that would tie it all together. So we started having a great conversation about community, and what we sort of came up with was I could talk about building your community and broadening your success within that. And we say with the 3 C's. I realize after there's quite a bit more than 3, but we'll focus on those ones today. So the focus is on how communication and collaboration build community and what it looks like personally and professionally in your lives. And I have arrows back and forth, so bear with me here. So my last talk, I asked everybody to kind of start thinking about, like, what is success to you? Like, you know, does it look like financial? Does success look like family? Does it look like relationships? What is success for you? For me, what it came down to was success for me is loving what I do and creating value for others. So when I think about that, it applies to every different aspect of my life. So creating value in my relationships, obviously including friendships, creating value in my workplace, creating value in actually the community. Because a lot of times, you know, when we started talking about community, a lot of times when you think community, you think being out there just in the community. And there's so much more to community than just being out and about in the community. So, and one of the quotes I left you with last time was from Michelle Obama, which was, success isn't about how much money you make, it's about the difference you make in people's lives. So that's really sort of stuck with me, and I've recognized for me what that actually applies to in my life, and how much different it is when you're thinking that way about making a difference. Because when you're making a difference for other people, indirectly you're making a difference in your own life, and you're like having these light bulbs. So Sandy yesterday morning texted me and said, how's it coming along? And I'm like, haven't even started. And the reason being that when I and it's not like I talk about these things often, but my thought was, you know, I want the conversation today to sort of be organic and to be more from an experience point of view versus having all these pointers for you to have to take notes and sort of be thinking about. And so I kind of went through my day. I had a really long day, got home and thought, I'm gonna, you know, get inspired. And so one of the things I did, talked about last time, was I shaved my legs.
Yay! Good job, girl.
Works every time. And for those of you that weren't here, what I was talking about was, you know, some days you just don't have the energy to do anything or everything. And so for me, the night before my last presentation, my big defeat was like shaving my legs. And it's amazing how much better you feel when you do this. So that's what I did last night. And then I crawled into bed and sat and really started thinking, and then it just flowed. So my question for you guys, maybe for you all to kind of share maybe just one thing, that what is community for you? Let's start with you.
Oh, community for me feels like kind of what we're doing here, a collaboration of people coming together for a greater purpose.
Awesome.
Friends. Awesome. Or like a support group that you can go to for your different like things.
Awesome.
Your go-to group, I love that.
Absolutely.
Belonging.
You guys are good. Danny.
There's another word that I'll come to, so I'll just say cooperation.
Okay. Awesome. Erin?
Well, kind of all shook them, but no, I think growth though too, personal growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just it. All of the things that you're talking, I mean, community for everybody is different, but even when you think when you're out in the community, you're getting together for a greater purpose. You're maybe with your friends or creating new friends within that community. You know, all of the things that you've talked about are things that you're doing while creating a community or while being out within your community, whatever that looks like. And the other thing that Xenia touched based on is, you know, these are the people that you give and receive support from. in my opinion. So whether it is, you're out in the community or whether it's in your workplace, in your personal life, these are the people that are there to support you. These are your foundation. And, I've seen it drawn out in different personal development classes where you have a circle where you're in the middle and who's on that inner circle and who's on that outer circle, and do you know who to go to for different things? So if you're looking to create a new business and you have a vision and you have this dream, who are you going to that's going to help to support you to make that happen and come to life? One of the things also would be that in a work environment is creating a work environment that has understanding and mutual values. So in my business, what I apply that to is the people that work with me. We're at work a lot, and we're all working together. And if we're not all sort of sharing the same values or sharing understanding about the fact that we are all very different people and we're all coming together with the same greater cause, that there needs to be a level of understanding and a level of knowing what everybody's values are and what that is, because how can you support someone if you don't know what their values are?
Is he okay?
That was a kneecap. That was a kneecap. Oh.
You kicked your shin?
Kicked my yeah.
The other thing is about creating that community, creating that circle. And a great example of this, I was talking to a friend of mine last night who's leaving to move away to create a new home with her husband in the States. She's moving across the country and into a different country. And this is her permanent move now. And, she was talking about being sort of afraid and being upset and being sort of scared and then feeling like I should be happy. I'm going to see my husband and all this. But, honoring the fact that she's leaving behind everything that she's got here. And one of the things that I brought up was, what an amazing thing for you to get to go to a new place and build what you want. It can look exactly how you want it to because you're starting fresh. And then I kind of went, what a concept. It's similar to the quote about, why would a bird stay on a branch when it can fly? I forget how it goes, but it's a very good quote. I probably butchered it. But it's essentially, why do birds sit on a branch when they can go anywhere? They can fly, right?
They can use their wings instead of relying on the branch.
Yeah, right? So I started thinking, well, we can all do that at any point, and we do kind of do that at different points in our lives. You go from having
Just gave me an epiphany.
I just did too.
writing like a mad woman.
I know.
Because I think you can start over at any time, and it doesn't mean that people have to get out of your community, but they can get out of that inner ring that I talked about, and you can move them to the outer ring. They're people you might rely on for a good time. You might go out and have some wine with them and have a talk once a month or once every couple of months, but maybe they're not the people that you work with every day and in creating a vision. Maybe they're not the people that are in your sort of trusted circle.
So depending on what you're doing, you mean, like in your circle could represent work, you're going to take these people out and you're going to pull these people in, and if you're talking about, I love that. Because they're not always the same. You need to make that into a
circles. The circles may be like this, but then you can have a circle like this, and then the circle can go like this.
Yeah, you can. I mean, and honestly, that might be a whole new vision workshop when you're doing your vision work, is looking at what that looks like. It could look like one of those
Circles
little atoms with all the little things. You know what I mean? Like, it can look however you want that to look, but...
Danny,
Sorry.
Nice ringtone. I love it.
Today.
No kidding. So yeah, and then the other point I had there was, being out in the actual community. And that's not something that everybody does, but in some way you have a community that you're part of, that you're out in. This itself, babes, is a community as well. Let's find the arrow to point number 4. So when we're talking about communication, for me, communication leads to community. So meeting people and, telling your story, sharing your story, as well as hearing their story. An example of that for me, in my experience, was just recently. I've been dealing with a lot of health issues and some pretty long-term ones at that, and some new ones. And I finally decided, I'm going to reach out. I was having a lot of struggles with clients and dealing with people having to sort of cancel a lot, having surgery, having appointments that come up. And it wasn't all positive that I was getting in return. And I thought, I shouldn't have to tell people what I'm dealing with in order for people to understand. But then I thought, well, what if I just did? What if I just communicate that? I go out on a limb, I tell them my story, and hope that people understand a little better. And so I very clearly, again, communication. I very clearly communicated what it was that I wanted from people, which was to have understanding, and also for people to have patience, because I've got a backup plan. I've got a plan for everybody who needs support, and all I'm asking for is that people support me as well. In doing that,
you actually told people what you want?
I did. I know. Mic drop.
Right?
And I wrote a long story, and it's funny because one of my clients who I adore, but he came in and he was like, yeah, I stopped reading after like a paragraph. And he said, you kept saying long story short, but then it's not that short. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. That is the short story. And it wasn't for pity, and it wasn't for people to feel sorry for me. It was like, look at the things that I'm dealing with and understand that I'm doing my best, and I'm doing my best to support you, because that is my value in my life and in my business, is to ensure that other people are supported, and also to give that support and hope to receive it in return. So in doing that, I had multiple people contact me that have dealt with the same disease that I've gone through, or that I'm dealing with, and forever. There's no cure, but there are ways to deal with it. I've had multiple people share their stories about how that happened to them, and realize we're connected in so many different ways, but this was another like, whoa, we lived on the same block, that we had no idea until now. And then now this, and then there's all these other things that connect us. So that was really amazing. And then also, I was able to, in reaching out to people and talking about what I was dealing with, I had a client who has a daughter who deals with the same disease on a very big scale. And she was able to help me get to the point where I'm at now with getting the support with doctors and talking to the right people. In doing that, I was able to help another person. And so my timeline was a lot shorter. The person that I'm helping, her timeline just got a lot shorter. And now in handing that information down and passing that on, communicating with people and sharing that openly, we're now looking at 3 people who are having success, obviously at different rates, but we're all getting to where we need to go. So, in just sharing your story, it's absolutely amazing who you can connect with and who has information for you that's going to be completely valuable. So collaboration. Collaboration.
That's what I was looking for.
There it is. That's one of the 3 C's. So collaboration, for me, communication obviously is part of that. Having a vision, overcoming your obstacles, and communicating through those obstacles, as well as ignoring politics and sort of making your own rules.
Ooh, I love that.
So personally, when I
Can you say
think,
that again?
yeah, absolutely. So communication, having a vision, overcoming obstacles, and communicating through those obstacles, as well as ignoring politics and making your own rules.
So things don't have to be a certain way, they can be however you
Yeah, like if you've got a vision, and again, I have an example, of course, because it's a lot easier for me to apply these things to my life and hope that you'll remember that story versus trying to remember all the details. So I went to and I've talked about this program before, but I went to my godson's school for breakfast program, had a little visit there, realized there was tons of kids, which was so cool, but then I went, oh, they're all here because they're hungry. Started to reach out to my community of people, to find out there's got to be other schools. I don't have kids in the school system, so like, where is this coming from? Where is this happening? Is this happening more than we think it is? And sure enough, it was. So I always say long story short, but long story short, a bunch of people in the community got together, and we sat down and really talked about how can we make this different. So I started our backpack program, which sends kids home over the weekends, kids that are vulnerable, over the weekends with food for the entire weekend. It's usually enough for the entire family or for stuff for the next week. So it started out as a group of us getting together. We had one person at the round table, which was somebody that we were really hoping would be a huge support. It's a community group. And the one person representing that group had all the reasons why it wasn't going to work. Well, we see people that do programs like this all the time, then they just drop it on our doorstep. Okay, well, you have my word that this is my vision and this is what I'm going to make happen, and I will stand by it all the way through. If it's not successful, fine. However, I don't have much, but I've got my word. And it was like, And then it was all the things, well, when we've had programs like this in the past, here's what it looked like. Okay, so let's learn from those and let's create something new. So at the end of the day, this person is no longer part of the program, and that's totally fine. It was a collaboration that didn't work out. But the program now, we've signed on with a program that was running in Abbotsford called the Starfish Backpacks. So we just created our Friday backpacks into the Starfish Mother program. And now we've got this huge circle of support because we communicated what it was that we were doing. We were looking for someone to collaborate with and make it bigger and better. And we're now feeding over 30 kids in our community, all with money raised through fundraising, business sponsorships, and with the work of volunteers. Like there's not anybody that is getting paid, right? So that was my vision. Started collaborating with people, obviously, in the community. Finding out that one of the people that was running our so Save on Foods, there's a guy named Gord who is the manager there. We were talking to him about supporting us. and he was part of the original Starfish program that started in Abbotsford. He used to be at that store. So it was like, oh. So then he put us in touch with other people, which was a Rotary program. You can see how that all comes together. So, sitting at that table and sitting there saying to somebody, well, cool that you find all the reasons why this isn't going to work, but here's why it will. And it is. And we've got people in the community. We just had an event that raised over $6,000 for our program, just from a business person in the community who gives and gives and gives, and just thought this is something we can do, and created that. So we saw her vision and supported that, and big things are happening. Let's see. So looking at community in business and also contribution in that aspect, looking at how people will support you because of your values and your contribution. So even if that contribution is not giving money to something or sponsoring a child or doing things like that, how are you actually contributing to the people that are coming in the doors of your business, and how are you contributing to the community that you've created within that? So that can look like things like, in your business inviting people to come out. Like for Sandy, invites people to come out to Babes. Well, hey, I've got this great program. There's a meeting that we have. These people come together. Here's what we can offer you. And collaborating with people. Like Erin and Valerie were both clients of Sandy's when they got together to create Babes in Maple Ridge. Also, when you're talking about that and you're letting people know, here's what we do and here's what I contribute to, whether it's out in the community or in my own community, that creates connections where people want to support you. They want to support your business because you're doing more than just cutting hair or running a gym, right? It's you're doing things that are helping people to feel better. You're adding value and creating value to people's lives. And also that goes along with that is the law of attraction. I hate to be cliche. It is
very
though.
true.
If you're throwing that out there and you're constantly looking to attract those people into your life that are similar to you, it will happen when you start to actually step into that. With that being said, it's like the little pins I gave out last time, accept your greatness. Like really step into that and recognize what am I contributing and who is that going to bring to me? And you'll watch it happen if your eyes are open and your heart and your mind is open to seeing that. Communication also is going to show who's there for the same values. So when I communicated with my newsletter to clients saying, here's what I'm dealing with, here's my solution, I'm going to be off for another surgery, I'm going to be off for a month, I've got 2 amazing employees that are working with me and we've been training every month, and here's the situation. It really allowed me to see, who even responded to the email, because I can see through my program who's opened it. People that responded, I had like an amazing outpouring of support, and also people like, hey, it's hair. We'll totally come and support your staff and support your business while you're away. Some people won't, and that's okay. But it really gave me that opportunity when I communicated what it was that I wanted to see who was really actually on board and who was supporting me for the right reasons. So the communication key is absolutely crucial to any part, whether we're talking about the 3 C's or anything else. Communication is it.
Wow.
So just to kind of wrap up the 3 C's, and then we can talk some more about that. So communication, looking at how do you communicate, right? How are you showing up to people when you're communicating with people? Like, are you showing up as the person who's like, hey, I'm here to help you? Or are you showing up looking like there's an ulterior motive to why you're speaking with somebody? Are you communicating clearly with people? Are you actually asking for what you want? Or are you kind of hoping people might get it? And very clearly asking for what you want, because the worst thing that's going to happen is somebody's going to say no. Or you're going to have someone like we did at the round table where we're like, man, look at this program, look at all these things, look what we can pull together. And someone's like, And then you're like, yeah, and you just cut those ties off. You don't need that. We had people who didn't want to attend the hockey event for the fundraiser because their question was this program only at the one school? To which I answered no. And they were like, well, because if it's only at the one school, like, we're not really going to. And I'm like, hungry kids are hungry kids. Like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to talk to you or talk about that. If you don't want to come, don't come. But I don't have time to, if there's kids that are hungry, doesn't matter what school they go to, doesn't matter if it's your school, it's a $10 ticket to a fundraiser, either you're coming or you're not. So, and without judgment, just I don't have time for that anymore. Also looking at how you communicate within your relationships, how you communicate with your work, and also making space and taking a step back sometimes, because people do communicate differently, and sometimes they think they're asking for what they want and they're not, and you become very unclear sort of what you're doing and what they're doing. And sometimes it's just making space, taking a step back, to make that communication a bit more clear. And a lot of times it's because one of the two people or both is just not clear on what the ask is. Tying up collaboration or connection, I can call that as well, is who are you working with? Who is in that circle? Like really, whether you actually physically draw it out or whether you think in your mind right now, like who is in that circle for you? Do you know who your community is? And do you know where to find the people that you're working with? And do you know why you're working with them? When you think of people and you think, oh, this person is such a great person, I really like being around them. It's not just about the fact that they're great and you like being around them. What are they contributing to you, and what are you contributing to them, and why are you working with them? And the other question to ask if you're not sure about the people you're working with is, working with this person, is it making you or your cause or your vision stronger? Is it actually contributing something? Because if it's not, again, it's not someone where you have to send some big formal email or card to say, hey, you're out of my circle, you're not in the community anymore. But it's knowing, like,
So sorry.
wah, wah. Which sometimes people do it. It's not to say those people couldn't remain in that circle. There might be something that they contribute to in a different way in your life. Maybe it's just not the greater vision. And again, that ties into community. Like, who is in your community? In your personal and professional, are those the same people? Are those different people? If you're out doing fundraisers, like I know you put on a big fundraiser, you're looking at people who's supporting that, and are you sort of reciprocating that when somebody else is doing the same? You don't have to. It's just a way to really gauge where you're at with, is what you're putting out the same as what you're getting back? Or if you're getting a lot back, you're talking about your friend who's winning the lottery all over the place, you're getting all of this stuff back. Is it because you've already given so much, or is there room for you to give more? Right? And it doesn't mean, like, for me, community, I'm out in the community, I do, this 1 year of my community director role, my goal was to plan 16 projects. Some of them were very, very big, and in a 90-day period, like I wanted to collect 1,500 pairs of shoes for Reuben shoes. Well, we were at almost or just over 2,000 at the end of it. And again, strange turns of events that happened. There was like a community fire that happened, and they had been collecting all this stuff, and that was shutting down, and we got all the shoes. And but it's like, again, if you're not open and you're not talking and communicating with people, here's what I'm doing, here's my vision, can you contribute to it? I wouldn't have had that. So
you just had a box in the salon with Reuben shoes with no communication about what it was.
Yeah, people see it, they may recognize it, they may not. It's like, see how you have to talk about those things. And for me, community is definitely being out in the community and creating programs like the backpack program. That's not for everybody. And also in the capacity of your business, which is really, really important. Why are you doing what you're doing? What kind of business, like, are you wanting to run? What kind of people are you wanting to see? Like, for us, in your chair, who do you want to sit and talk to for 3 hours while you do their hair? There's people we don't want to talk to for 3 hours while we do their hair. And we've had some pretty messy breakups, I'm not gonna lie. However, it's me going, hey, somebody creates a big stink and goes on, and you say, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you your money back, and you can take it elsewhere, and you can go, oh, no. That's not what I wanted to do. I just want it, and then they start backpedaling, and it's like, no, I'm good. Like, I actually don't want you in my chair. And as hard as that is, it's really honest, and it's to the point, like, you're not fitting into my vision, you're not fitting into my community, you don't get to stay.
And it's not a, like, malice or mean thing.
No.
Because really, and I feel that too, like, when there's a really uncomfortable person in the chair, it's really draining, and it's draining for both people, right?
For
it's
like
not
3
just
hours.
like, yeah, and it's not good for that person either. And for me, it's really key and very important to create a really strong connection in that chair, and I'm really attracting those connections. But when you do have that horrible relationship, it's really hurtful.
And what's the point? So maybe they're getting great hair, because obviously we do great hair. Maybe they're getting great hair. And also, what are they walking away with? Like, are you actually contributing? And are they actually contributing to you? Because if you have to go in the back and, like, blah, 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 and, like, shake off the, like, blah, burn some sage in the back room, it's like, what's the point? Like, asking yourself the question, is this making you stronger? Is this making your vision stronger? Is this contributing? The answer to that is probably no. Yeah, you have a couple $100 in your pocket, or if that. You've got this person that walks out. Right? So, that's the thing to always be asking yourself. Is this making it stronger? Is this part of my vision? Are these the people that I want to really deal with? And when you're walking into it without judgment, like Sandy's had some great promotions she's run, and she's had some interesting people come in. But again, there's no judgment. Those people might be the best clients that you've ever had. the one that came in smelling like roaches. It was like, we weren't judging, but we were like, whoa. Sandy's like, I think I'm stoned. It was like, and again, maybe just being a little bit mindful before you walk into a tiny boutique salon, the fact that you're going to air yourself out. But, there was no judgment. We're like, she could have been really awesome. She's coming back, yeah.
I got 10 new clients this month.
How many?
10.
She was half an hour late because she got lost, but I was like, I wonder why she was
Oh,
lost.
no, my girlfriend would have come if I'm not so good and I didn't tell her hair
So in your personal life, it's no different than in your business. What do the people look like around you, and are they fitting still? And if they're not, like I said, it doesn't have to be a formal conversation. How are we doing?
We're over, but we've got.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm wrapping it up. But
3 minutes.
we're on the end anyway. And obviously, I've talked about this a lot. Contribution, but that's what I call kind of the silent C, because it's one of those things that when you're contributing, you're not like, hey, you're going to get your hair done and here's what I'm going to contribute to you. It's just knowing that when you're carrying yourself, and the question that I ask, how are you showing up? If you're showing up to be the person that's contributing, saying, I want to make your life better, you don't have to tell somebody that. You're just going to indirectly do that in the conversation that you're having and that connection you're creating.
It's like, it's like those pictures you see that's like, so-and-so donated $5,000 in this massive check, right?
Yeah.
Like, clearly you're doing that for you.
Yeah. And some people, like,
Marketing tactic.
exactly. Some people, it ties into the business. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that do that, and it is about, I used to have the same sort of feeling about that, and in some cases now I look at it as like, well, if it's something where that's creating awareness that something's happening, it's not the worst thing in the world. But I like to call it the silent C, because there's a lot of people that you'll meet, and when you, again, going back to page 1, when you tell your story and you listen to somebody else's story, you're going to learn about what that person's passionate about, and you're going to learn about their community and what they've created and who they have, and maybe you get invited to something like this where you get to delve into their community and utilize that. So to close, when I was seeking inspiration yesterday, I'll do things like I'll turn on the radio in the car, or like my music, and I'll be like, okay, the next song is how my meeting's going to go today, and I'll pop it on there. And sometimes it's like a really obvious thing. Other times it's like you have to listen to the lyrics, but I always find some kind of inspiration. Seems really, I can't even give you an example right now because some of them have been really weird and awkward, but it's things like that. So when I told Sandy yesterday, look, I'm just going to wait for the inspiration to come, I got home and I'm like, okay, it's like 7 o'clock. I've been out for like 9 hours today. Like, I got to sit down and I got to do this. And so one of the things I always do is make tea. So I made this tea, and I have this lovely ginger tea, and on the little tag on the tea, it always has a little phrase. And so last time I was here, and I stood up, and I kind of started my talk with feeling like maybe I'm not in a place to be inspiring people. Maybe I'm not the person that should be standing up here. And so this time, I kind of thought, like maybe I'm kind of in the same place. And my little tag on my tea says, be heard. And I'm like, okay. That's it. And of course, I make pages of notes, and I don't really know what I'm going to talk about, but it all seems to make sense in the end. And in that, when I started thinking about being heard, I'm reminded that my story does matter, and I do bring people together by sharing, and I build my community and I empower people. That's what I do. And for some people, sharing your story is like, why are you talking about that, or why is the focus always on that? But especially when it comes to dealing with the chronic illnesses that I have been, A, I'm helping other people, and B, with that, it's not just that I'm talking about it all the time to get people to like think about it and feel bad for me. It's like that's a huge part of what I'm dealing with in my life right now, and to reach out to people and get these people coming from all different angles where they're dealing with either worse things or the same things. We're able to kind of come together and find that support in places that you don't expect. Again, tying the 3 C's, so building your community and broadening your success with the 3 C's. The 3 C's being communication, collaboration, or connection, and community. So I really do urge you, drawing the pictures and stuff, that's great if you take the time to do it. If you don't, at least leave today with some thoughts of, who's in that community for you, how are you communicating, and who is collaborating with you, and who do you want to collaborate with, who do you want to attract. And with that being said, I think every meeting would kind of end with everybody having a little share. So I came prepared today. What I'd like each of you to share, because it's not a huge group, is 3 things that you can contribute to your communities. So whether those are your personal, professional, community, whatever. I would like each one of you to tell me 3 things that you contribute to your community. Erin, let's start with you.
Okay. I think 3 things that I can contribute to my community is really, and it's funny because I love all these things always just tying together, but seriously, but really being bold and brave, and that's, if there's anything I'm really wanting to push people, and especially women that I work with every day and see every day, is to feel like you can go ahead and be brave, because it's okay, and it's not really fun, but it's going to do some good. And you're going to go places and find things. But be brave, and teach them to be brave, but also teach them to know that, just like today with what you shared, and you sort of talk back with, my experience may not affect everybody or whatever, but the more we put out there and the more we share our experiences as people, the more we all grow, and the more we realize, and I want people to understand how much value each and every one of us can bring to everything that we do. Whether it's just a friendship, having coffee, and somebody needs you to listen to their story because they need you, or maybe you need to guide somebody, right? I think that's really important too. And then finally, again, teaching people how to really understand what community they want to be a part of and why. I think they're really important. But can I share one more thing though? Well, I'll share it after. It's got nothing to do with you, so.
And being a catalyst, like you're saying about being the person that brings that, like that's one of the beautiful things when you are that person. Like being a catalyst to help people find what it is that they want to, contribute to is huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge
I'll share my little thing after.
Okay,
More about
sounds
what you
good.
talked about at the beginning.
Okay. All right, 3 things.
3 things to contribute. Coaching. That's what we're getting. Yeah. Caring. Which sounds good at. For the right reasons, though, not to fill me, but to fill them, right? And the third thing I can contribute is just authenticity. That's
Awesome. That's great. Jen?
Well, in line with my values of freedom and belonging. The thing that I guess I contribute over time is these experiences for my community. So I've got several communities going on, days, and entertainment ones and things like that. But the one thing that I always offer is I create these awesome, basically parties, like to the morning, afternoon, nighttime, whatever it is. I create these experiences for people that they have a lot of fun, they feel really good, and they get that sense of belonging too. So that's one of my biggest things I contribute. I also contribute a platform for them to shine on. So I offer opportunities to people all the time where they can get out and speak. I guess whether it's a kids or it's something else that I do. I love that. I love the buzz of seeing other people that maybe wouldn't have had a chance before to get up and speak and tell their story and get that opportunity. So
Yeah. That's how I feel every presentation. Do you want us to come back for the third one? We will, so you better think of something different. Lose that one.
I always go on and support people.
She is like my number one. Everything you do. Danielle
That's why
is
she
always
mentioned
there.
part about being uncomfortable, because she's talking about no, I'm just kidding.
Cross that off my list. I'm just kidding. Can I pick a third one for you? I think you contribute a ton of fun. Like you're always you're always having fun in the salon, you're always really like that.
Very true.
Yeah.
And it also would urge you to think about now having 3 things that you're thinking of too, and then it's like really start to accept that greatness, like I talked about last time. Like really start to look at what are people doing when they're around me? Like are they having fun? Are they really start thinking about what you're contributing? I know today it's you're on the spot, but it's really, really seriously start, whether that looks like a list or just in your mind, for all of you. Start really thinking about what am I putting out there? What am I giving to people with no expectation in return, right? So we'll talk about that.
I like showing that I've got severe anxiety, so I'm on disability for that. It's hard getting out of the house at any time. It's hard doing anything. So I like showing people, hey, if I can do it, if I can get out there and talk to people, meet new people, anybody can. What's your excuse for not doing it if I can do it? I like having a attitude of gratitude. It's one reason I started with send out cards is to, send cards, random cards to people, just showing how much I appreciate them.
That's awesome.
Third thing.
Those are two pretty strong ones.
That is.
Those are strong, yeah.
It's always hard. Yeah,
What about in your home, like in your personal life? Maybe a third one, because you talked about business, and then what about something like within, and obviously your personal experiences. What about something within your home, your family, or your friends? Something within there.
I'm sort of the caretaker, so
There you go.
yeah.
So you support others, and you're there for
Yes.
other people. That's huge. Those are 3 huge ones.
No.
And Sandy, now everything's crossed off your list.
Yeah. I definitely contribute. I'm a really good cheerleader. Yeah.
She's always like,
Or like,
Totally.
always.
I did have listening on there, but I think that goes along with being a cheerleader. And I just wanted to say quickly too, like with the communication and the asking, I think it's like equally important to be the listener. Like if you're talking about law of attraction, and you want people to listen to you what you're actually wanting, you really need to learn how to listen. Really listen to people.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That
And
counts
listen
too.
for
That
listening,
counts.
not
That
listen
counts.
to reply. That's the big
Right.
one.
When someone's talking to you, don't be like, oh, this is talking to stuff, and you say no, right?
Yeah.
You really listen to people, and that goes huge in it's better. And also, I think I'm going to just love more. I don't know. More. Treat
Isn't
people
that what
with
it
love.
says?
Love. I want to love more.
Unconditional. So, of course, last time I brought you guys these pins to thank you for sharing, because that's huge, especially for I myself deal with anxiety as well, and I know Xenia does as well, and Sandy. And one of the things that, like Sandy said, was initially coming here and starting to do this, like she now feels comfortable, right? And I still notice her little things like her legs and her paper and her hands shaking, but.
Because I had wine last night, so I was.
Oh, it's the wine shakes.
Not
No, but seriously, knowing Sandy as long as I have, and watching her go from someone who couldn't speak in front of a staff meeting of 3 people to now speaking in rooms. The one time I was here was like 18 to 20 people, I think it was. When you really step into that greatness, and that's why those little pins I gave you, accept your greatness, were just a little reminder. And I had thought like 3 days ago, like, oh man, I should totally do another pin. And then I was thinking, well, people don't actually wear those things. Like, that's awkward. And then I didn't have time to do it. And so I thought the one thing that could be your trigger, your reminder today, like I said, there's days, and especially when you deal with anxiety or chronic diseases or just illness in general, is that sometimes the big defeats are things like shaving your legs. So I brought each of you a razor.
Fantastic.
So you can keep that as like a little trigger on your shelf somewhere, or you can actually use it.
You should sign them.
I'll sign your razors, no problem.
We're not meant to use these.
You can use them. Hey, if that empowers you, use them.
You are amazing.
So thank you again for having me and asking me to speak.
Extreme. See, they're extreme.
They are, and so will you be. And that's one thing that, putting all of this together and putting notes and realizing, like, that was also a level of me just trusting myself. Like, I didn't leave it to the last minute and panic. I left it to the last minute till I found the inspiration, and that's what I looked for, and that's what I got. So thanks again for having me, and thanks for sharing both of you as well.
Amazing.
Can I share one thing really quickly?
Yeah.